Mrs. Turner calls for Timmy's help with gardening, which consists of being used as a plow to make rows in her garden. Once they're done, Mrs. Turner thanks her son for his, and Timmy, after spitting out all the dirt, bugs, and other garden gunk from his mouth, admits that while gardening isn't his favorite chore, he at least considers it preferable to mucking out their house gutters when they're treated to a flashback of Timmy doing this chore with his dad, but Timmy keeps puking during the process. Mrs. Turner then notices that all of her garden rows are crooked and freaks out upon seeing this. Then she notices Timmy's unusually large front teeth are finally loose. She's happy that her son's growing up, but freaks out upon realizing that it also means she's growing older, making herself feel young. Timmy's mom drives off in Mrs. Dinkelberg's car, which causes the neighbors to start rapidly aging for some reason. Timmy goes to his bedroom and says to Cosmo and Wanda how he's so glad to know that his teeth are finally loose because nobody again will call him stuff like Buck Finn, the Toothinator, or any kind of joke relating to his teeth. Jorgen then suddenly appears in Timmy's room, oddly excited to hear that Timmy's two front teeth are finally loose. He invites him and his godparents, whom he calls his closest friends, much to their surprise, particularly to Cosmo's, to the Pointy Crown, which is a fancy restaurant in Fairy World, later that night, claiming that he has a very important announcement to make. While at the restaurant later on, Jorgen reveals his big announcement. He's planning on proposing to the Tooth Fairy, who is his girlfriend, but wants to use Timmy's freakishly huge baby teeth to do so, especially since the Tooth Fairy's had her eyes on them for quite some time. But while Timmy's teeth might not be loose, Wanda points out to Jorgen that they're still not quite ready to come out yet. Hearing this, Jorgen, who really wants to give them the Tooth Fairy that night, resolves to pull them out with his bare hands. Eventually, however, the Tooth Fairy sees Jorgen trying to pull out Timmy's teeth. Not realizing why Jorgen's doing it, she dumps him as her boyfriend. Jorgen, for once, loses all of his confidence and takes hold of Cosmo and Wanda, hugging them to the point of near suffocation. Wanda feels bad for Jorgen while Cosmo can't take being hugged anymore, and Timmy has to go through everything he had to before he had fairy godparents for the next week, as they are hugged so much it can't escape. Eventually, Timmy resolves to make things right between Jorgen and the Tooth Fairy. He goes to Dr. Bender to have his front teeth pulled out, and the dentist used the old string attached to the doorknob to get Timmy's teeth out. This ends up working, although Timmy gets a black eye when the tooth hits him in the face and is forced to wear an eye patch for some time. Later that night, Timmy puts the tooth under his pillow, and the Tooth Fairy soon arrives and finally gets Timmy's abnormally large teeth. But Timmy then captures her in a butterfly net, so she can't escape. This, of course, angers her, as Timmy's finally able to explain the reasoning behind Jorgen's action at the Pointy Crown. Jorgen wasn't trying to do the Tooth Fairy's job or be a bully to anything like that. He wanted to use Timmy's teeth to propose to her. Jorgen, now with a full beard and having lost all his muscle mass, comes in and confirms that it's true. He also finally lets Cosmo and Wanda go and proposes to the Tooth Fairy, happily accepts. Jorgen immediately starts working out again, and to repay Timmy, the Tooth Fairy immediately gives him his permanent adult teeth. But much to Timmy's dismay, his new teeth are not only identical to his old teeth, but at least according to the Tooth Fairy, are apparently bigger. In the end, Jorgen, now shaved and has his full muscles again, and the Tooth Fairy finally get married, with Timmy and his godparents in attendance. During the wedding, the priest asks if anyone has a reason why Jorgen and the Tooth Fairy should not be wed. Cosmo nearly says something, but is interrupted by Wanda, who threatens to hurt him if he answers the question. Nervous, Cosmo turns into a clam, yet cries, "I still miss her!"